Alright, one of my more successful videos I've had in the past year or so has been one about the Rage Crossbow mechanical broadheads. And it's hunting season again, so what we're going to come across is using them and having to change out our blades. I figured some of the guys who are looking up my original video might want to find an easier way or find out what the actual procedure is on to replace the blades. It's pretty basic. We're going to need just a couple tools. What I got is a scribe. I've got an Allen wrench, and I've also got the replacement kit right here. And this is just another thing that you can buy along with your replacement kit. These are the shock collars. So as you can see, these two broadheads are kind of different. The one on my right, your left, has been shot. It was a missed shot, so this one went past the target and it smashed in the ground. There's a little bit of deformation on the blades. Anytime you have replaceable blades like this, it's best just to replace the blades anytime that you come in contact with something, or yeah, pretty much anytime you come in contact with something, whether it be intended target or not intended target. As you can see, the one on the left has brand new blades on it. I will say with both of these, there's something incorrect on them, and whenever I get them apart, I'll be able to show you it a little bit better. So let me start getting into that before this becomes a 12-minute video. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off all this crud that's built up, and I'm going to expose both of our screws. I'm going to do that off camera over top of a trash can because, as you see, I'm making it dirty already. Alright, with our camera angle changed and our broadhead cleaned off, you guys can get a little bit better picture of what we're dealing with here. We've got our blades, our shock collar, our blade disassembly screw, and our tip blade disassembly screw. You'll come in contact with this, you'll have just some dirt buildup inside of that screw head, so that's what the scribe is for, just clearing it out. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this broadhead apart and make sure the base of this, the orange part, is good for us to use again. So first thing I want to do is take off our shock collar. If you're wondering how these broadheads actually work, what it is, your shock collar is flimsy plastic, and the blades will line up in the closed position with this little tab here, and those tabs go all the way around, and whenever you impact something with the front of those blades and the blades start expanding, they will break that shock collar holding it in place. This is, I guess, deemed a little bit better than the O-rings like on compound bows, so they went to the crossbow, or for the crossbows they went to this little shock collar. With that off, I can get to our main blade screw. You can also wear gloves doing this. I'm using a light touch, so I'm not worried too much about the broadhead actually cutting me. I've taken these apart before, so I have the Allen wrenches setting around. It's just a standard Allen wrench set. I'll get into the breakdown of what comes in that kit. So with this main screw taken out, we have a nice shank here that is not threaded, and then we have the threaded portion at the bottom, just so you guys know what that looks like. With that out of the way, we can pull our blades out, and they should just pop right out. If they're kind of stuck in there, either they've been twisted or you have some other problem going on with the base of your broadhead here. Next thing we're going to do is take this tip blade off. It's the same Allen wrench. You should be able to see what that screw looks like. You cannot mix it up with the other one. It's physically impossible. Set that one aside. And then our tip blade should come out. And there's our tip blade. So you can see the three major portions of the broadhead itself. So with it disassembled, I'm going to look at a few things here. I'm making sure that it's straight to begin with. We don't want a crooked broadhead like that. The next thing I'm going to check is I'm going to check these channels and make sure there's no large deformation on them, and then make sure there's nothing inside of them. In addition to that, on the base of these broadheads, this broadhead base is aluminum. All this orange is aluminum. The blades and the screws are stainless steel. So what you'll have is the stainless steel blades impacting these areas here, and you can have a larger chipped area like that one right there, how it's marred up from the blades contacting it. This one doesn't seem too bad. So I think we're all right to reuse it. Breaking into our kit, we have a few things in here. We've got replacement tips, we got extra shock collars, we've got screw sets and some washers, and we also have blades, and there's even an Allen wrench installed, or comes with the kit, so we don't have to worry about trying to find a special one for that. It's all inclusive. I have opened this case up before, so everything's a little bit jostled around. I'd recommend getting a couple of these, and I know you can buy the blade kits by themselves. Before I start getting into that, I want you guys to notice something here. This is the Crossbow X replacement blade kit. There are replacement blades for the Broadheads. For compound bows, be very careful with that, because in our kit we're going to get replacement blades. All this stuff came oiled. I'll probably re-oil it to store it. So we have 1, 2, 4, looks like 5 replacement blades. There may have been 6 in there, so I may have used one extra one. So, but you see these blades, they mic out at about 1.5 inches from tip to tip. That's not the cutting surface, but that's about tip to tip. So 1.5 inches. The ones I had installed on this Broadhead, they mic out at about 1.8 inches. So when you guys are buying replacement blades, don't think that you can just throw any blades on there and get a higher cutting surface or cutting area by just putting the Broadhead ones or the compound bow ones on there, because they are a different size. You have to account for that, and with the added weight, you'd have to weigh it and you'd have to do test fires. So that's one thing to look out for whenever you guys are buying these, that you get the crossbow blades. Coming back to it, we're only going to need 2 of those, so I'm going to put the rest back in the pack. Next thing I'm going to need out of my packaging is I'm going to need a tip blade. There's our tip blade. And I'm going to take one of the shock collars out as well. And you know what, just for kicks, I'll replace our screws too, if I can get a hold of them. 1 screw, 2 screws. Now we have all of our parts together here. We can start reassembling. I'm going to try not to lose it down in the holes in my workbench. So with our base in there, we're going to take both of our blades and we're going to fish them in. But with our blades in our Broadhead, we want to cross them over. You guys should be able to see that, just like that. And we're aiming for the larger part of the blade openings. There's 2 sides to this Broadhead. One side, and the side that you're looking at, is the tapered side for the Broadhead screw to go through. The other side is the threaded side. You won't be able to get that screw to set in there if you go through the threaded side. So taking our main screw here and dropping it, of course, we're going to line everything up, feed our screw in there, tighten. Shouldn't be a lot of resistance on this when tightening it. Like I said, the threads are in the base of the Broadhead, so it's aluminum threads with a stainless steel screw. You can strip this thing out and you won't be able to use it again. So with our blades in there, we want to do another check and make sure that our blades are free to move. They're free to extend and they're free to be retracted. One problem I did encounter with these blades, I don't think any of these are at, but these blades are laser cut. You can tell that they're laser cut because you will have a lot of slag. Basically, when the laser shoots through it, it blows out all the material, and all that material leaves like little drip marks along these areas. So what you'll have is a really rough extension and retraction of these blades. You want this as smooth as possible, because whenever that Broadhead hits, you want these blades to break that shock collar and then come extending out like that. Any hang-ups, it could skew off in some weird direction and do something that wasn't intended. So if you have to get a file, I use a Leatherman, one of the files on there, the metal files. That works good. Just a little rasp or something will clean them right up. It's not a major deal. The blades are still razor sharp, but it's just that little hang up inside of there that you'll have a problem with. Next thing we're going to do is install our blade for the tip. This one here, if your channel isn't very clean, you could have a problem with sliding down and cutting yourself. What I'm going to do is slide this blade in there. There's no top or bottom to this. It just goes in there. Once again, we're going to have a tapered side and we're going to have a threaded side our screw will only go in one way. And once again, these are aluminum threads and a steel screw, so go easy with this. You want it tight, but you do not want to strip this out. With all the blades installed, the correct blades installed, you can see what the difference is between the two broadheads with the correct and incorrect blades. So as you can see, the ones on the right, or my right, your left, are the incorrect blades. The one on the left, your right, are my correct ones, are the correct blades. With that, the shock collar, there might be a little bit of a question on how these operate as well, but these little hooks here in the base of the blades are what engage the shock collar. So collapsing these together, I'll take our shock collar. There's two little arrows on it, but as long as you have it lined up with the vanes on there, the flats, then you shouldn't have a problem. So if you look now, the one on the right is engaged, but the one on the left is not engaged. See how it can move down? The one on the right, though, is engaged in that collar. So what we have to do is reposition it. Give it a little pinch together and then kind of jostle it in place. I've never had one of these break. I usually keep them in the quiver, and then I'll keep one in the bow while I'm hunting, and I've never had one break. I've dropped an arrow before, and one of them broke then. So I just take them and put them on like a golf tee, and then I put them in a plastic bag so I know where they're at to keep track of them. But that's it. Carefully line this up. It's a little bit better of a view. So you can see there's a space there, there's a space there. My blade is landing right in between those two spaces. Same thing here. There's a space there, there's a space there. My blade is landing right between those two spaces, and then it's secured in there. I can give it a good push, and it won't disengage from that. It won't break it. So there you go. That is the blade replacement, and a little bit, I guess, of an inspection of the Rage Crossbow replacement blades. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope it helps out some of you guys. You got any questions, concerns, give me a little shout in the comments and whatnot.